Welcome to Deep Dive. I'm Kevin Benedict, your host, and I want to thank all of you for joining us today. I'm so excited to have Kate Woodcock here today from VMware. Thanks for joining us, Kate.
It is my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and Kate is the Vice President of Customer Advocacy here at VMware. So thank you. And I want to learn all about customer advocacy today. And I'm going to stumble through that word because I don't know why advocacy is just a hard word for me to say.
It is the hardest word to say. Of all job titles in all the world, I think we chose the worst one.
That's funny. So before we even get into the professional side, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am a displaced Brit.
Okay.
I've been in the US for about 17 years now and absolutely love it. I am living the dream.
Oh yeah, Northern California, sun's out, the blossoms are on all the trees.
Isn't it beautiful?
It is.
I count my blessings every day.
So tell us about your professional role here. Where did you start in customer advocacy, or did you just evolve there? How'd that work out?
So I've been working in the customer experience field for many more years than I care to admit. I came to VMware about 7 years ago to instantiate a customer advocacy function. We'd matured enough as a business to really get to that point where we needed to put some specific effort around customer advocacy at VMware. And I feel as though I have the best job at VMware, I really do. I get to spend my days representing the wishes and views and opinions of our customers, our partners, and our employees to our leadership team every day. I'm championing their needs.
And it probably has more of an influence when you have a British accent too, doesn't it?
You know, I've been told that doesn't hurt. Thanks for pointing that out.
It just sounds authoritative and powerful. I love that. Yeah, so what does that word customer advocacy really mean here at VMware?
It is the purest mission to represent our customers to our stakeholder groups internally, to ensure that wherever possible, the best interests and needs of our customers are borne in mind as we prioritize and strategize and drive towards the future.
So what does that really look like? Like, how do you do that? You get up in the morning and say, I need to represent these ideas. Like, how's that really done?
And where do those ideas come from? Well, the first thing to be reassured about is the fact that we don't make any of this up.
Okay.
We don't imagine what we think our customers need. We actually go find out.
Okay.
So we spend a lot of time talking to our customers and obtaining research and insights from our customers as really the starting point in that process. So we obtain millions of data points and hundreds and thousands of customer stories. But how do we synthesize all of that and deliver it in a compelling way to our leadership teams, to those functional leaders that need to incorporate that information into their strategies?
So how do you gather that? What is the process?
We do all of the typical, usual customer experience processes. We do high volume surveys, and that forms the bread and butter because that volume of data gives us huge validity to the insights that we generate. But then we augment that high volume data with much more intensive qualitative information that allows us to add stories, add humanity to metrics and data, and that we've found has made all the difference.
So there's customer advocacy, which is representing the interests of the customers, right? And then there's customer experience, right? So this is representing their interests, and this customer experience is what in the VMware world? In the
VMware world,
yes.
It starts with obtaining those insights.
Okay.
So the programs needed to ensure that we are working with high validity, credible data.
Yes.
We stand on that.
Okay.
We peg our reputations on that.
Yes.
And so it's an incredibly important step of the process. And then we move into the research and analysis function, which allows us to extract from all of that data the information that will prove to be a credible argument with one of our stakeholders, credible information that will enable them to make the right decisions, the customer interest decisions.
Oh, got it. So you're gathering the feedback, and then you're taking that to leadership and saying, we didn't just grab the data points, but we went back in and gathered more information from the customer.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Proved it, validated it. And then the third part of customer advocacy, and this is where we take a little bit of a diversion from the usual customer experience industry.
Yes.
The third part is a function that we have called influence. And it's all about becoming the trusted advisor to a particular leader or a particular function, and working with them, not just to share customer insights with them, but then also to develop those action plans and hold them accountable for driving those improvements and actions. And that's the unique part of what we're doing here. We're not just listening for the sake of listening.
Yes.
Our survey respondents need to be confident that their responses they provide to us doesn't go into a black hole.
Yes.
We spend an enormous amount of time utilizing and using that information to drive change at the highest levels.
Ah, so interesting. And I'm thinking, as you're speaking here, I'm thinking back a few years before everything was digital interactions, and thinking how hard it would have been back then to gather the information today.
Absolutely.
So today, as a result of digital transformation, that must make the insight gathering a lot easier.
You would think so, right? But
I would think so.
But it remains critically important to have those human conversations. The digital platforms that we use are incredibly important to us. They give us an enormous kind of starting point, a directionality that we can go chase down.
Yeah.
But the human interactions we have, those one-on-one customer meetings, give us the opportunity to dig deeper into areas of pain,
Yes.
or challenge, and for us to really identify what the specific or granular elements that we need to change or tweak should be in order to change the equation.
All right, Kate. So there must be different ways that you gather the information from your customers, ways of listening to what they're saying. There might be social media involved. Talk to us about that.
I'm so glad you asked, because this is an area of real passion for me, is finding new ways to listen and engage our customers. Of course, we use the traditional customer experience approaches of email to web surveys that give us, that nets us high volume data, which is so critical to our programs.
Absolutely.
We also use focus groups and one-on-one customer interviews that provide us with the richest information that fills in many of those gaps and gives us very specific, actionable prescriptions. We use social media, of course, and we use that in two ways. One is we listen to social media to look for, it's a great source for the early detection of themes, of new themes that are coming through. And so we listen carefully to all forms of social media. We also use social media on an outbound basis. For example, how many surveys have you had into your inbox just today?
Too many.
And how many do you respond to?
Only the ones that are meaningful to me.
Okay, great. And maybe the ones where you're more confident that somebody's listening at the other end.
Absolutely.
And so one of the things that we find incredibly important is ensuring that our customers understand that we're doing something on the basis of what they tell us.
Yes.
And that there's perhaps a reciprocity to the process. You share your opinions with me, I'll share back with you what we're going to do about it. And social media becomes a real big component into that. But then the areas that I'm really excited about are where we're breaking the mold and we're trying to forge a new path where one doesn't currently exist. For example, we are currently piloting a program where we are inserting feedback capture mechanisms into our products themselves, so that we can reach out and capture the voices of the people who are using our products each and every day and try to get their help to build the products of the future. We also have a thriving community. We call it our inner circle. This is made up of 3,500 customers and partners who have opted in to help us on a regular basis answer some of the questions that we have about their thoughts and views and opinions on a range of topics.
Interesting.
So the other thing that I'm really excited about is our research community. This is a group of about 3,500 customers and partners who provide us with regular feedback on a whole host of topics affecting VMware. And in return for their contribution to us, we are very eager to ensure that we provide them with share-back information.
Absolutely.
Not only, what have we learned from you and your peer group, but also what is our leadership team committing to drive as a result of their contribution.
Oh, interesting.
And this reciprocity is building a real bidirectional relationship where this community of folks realize the impact that they're having on VMware's strategy going forward.
So
it's fantastic.
Yes, it sounds like it. So how do you ensure that your analysis of the data and the feedback from your group, your special inside circle, how do you make sure that executives actually act on that?
Well, that's quite the process.
Yes.
It's gotten easier over the years, much easier. What we have been through over the last 7 years is an evolution and a maturing of the process, particularly of the opinions of our leadership team, where we started off with trying to drive awareness about the importance of customer experience and the customer opinion as part of the decision-making process. And of course, executives will push and prod and poke at new data or new ideas before they will reconcile themselves with them. And so we've been right the way through that process to get them from basic awareness to understanding to belief, and then from there to the point of action. And I am blessed because our leadership team is now at that point where I don't have to justify why we need to change to lean towards our customer. Now it's about what and about how, and that's really changed the conversation. It means that we don't have that awkward conversation at the beginning where they're challenging methodology or anything along those lines. We can get straight into the action planning process.
Oh, wow. So you've built up the confidence and the credibility, and so when the data comes now, they're like, okay, we need to act on that.
Yes.
Oh, that's brilliant. So customer advocacy and partner advocacy, how are those different? Number one, do you have responsibilities for both sides?
Yes.
Okay, so how do you treat those differently?
Well, our partners are an enormously important part of our ecosystem here at VMware. And so I view partner advocacy with two different lenses. The first one is, my responsibility is to ensure that our partners have a great experience when they're working with VMware. And so that evaluation of the partner experience is definitely part of my remit. But then also, I need to be able to have confidence that when our end customers, who perhaps only get to work with VMware through their partners, I need to ensure they also have an optimized experience.
Yeah, so the feedback doesn't stop at the partner, that somehow there's a flow through, so you're getting that. Okay.
And how can I work with our partner organizations to ensure that they are delivering an exceptional customer experience?
So that makes it that much more difficult. So do you provide tools to them, or what's the mechanism for them to provide you with that data?
Well, so what's important to our customers is also important to our partners' customers. And so we share the same information we obtain that we can utilize with our partner ecosystem so that they can choose to make those improvements and advances themselves as well.
It's a virtuous circle. Everybody benefits from that.
Ideally, yes.
Yes. So do you have a collection in your role for customer and partner advocacy? Do you have your own set of tools and technologies that you're implementing to gather all that information and provide the feedback, or do you use just standard kind of back office stuff and spreadsheets and all that, or do you have your own platforms?
We choose to work with vendors who are specialists in these areas.
Okay.
We have a stable of platforms and tools that we will use for different purposes. All of them we found have strengths and weaknesses in different areas, and so we'll adopt the right tool for the right reason, the right project that we're working on. We use vendors for data collection.
Okay.
We use vendors for elements like text analysis using natural language processing techniques, and then we use platforms and tools for advanced statistical analysis. Try saying that 3 times fast.
Oh man, I don't think so.
And then data visualization as well as another component that's super interesting.
Oh yeah, especially when you're presenting to the executive teams. They want to see the data quick.
You know, one thing I've learned is that our executives are all wired differently, and one chart or one piece of data may appeal to 50% of the crowd, and a human story may appeal to the other 50%. And so figuring out the right balance and the right sequence to tell a story for the best outcome is definitely part of the role that we have now.
I bet. So Kate, where do you see this whole process of customer experience measuring and customer advocacy, where do you see it going in the next 3 to 5 years? How's it going to evolve?
That's a great question, and I wish I had a crystal ball. Where I hope it goes is that across all industries, customer experience will continue to become more and more of a mainstream strategic advantage and function, core function within organizations. If I look back, though, a decade, there were too many survey teams or survey functions within organizations that weren't really delivering value. And I think a lot of leaders got a little disenfranchised with funding those kind of programs. I'm seeing that really shift. I hope that shift continues because there is incredible business value in harnessing the hopes and views and opinions of our customers to drive systemic business improvement.
Wow, that's terrific. Kate, thank you so much for taking time out of this beautiful spring Northern California day.
It's my pleasure, Kevin. Thank you for having me.
And thank you all for tuning in and listening today.